Hello guys, after 2.5 years of the full-scale invasion, war has finally returned back home to Russia where it belongs. So now when we discuss the updates from the front lines, we need to include Russian regions, especially Kursk. And I'm really happy that the Ukrainian armed forces continue to create the buffering zone that protects more of Ukrainian regions from constant Russian shellings. And sometime soon we will be able to return to our 1991 borders. So what are the updates from the Kursk region? It looks like a bridge was destroyed across the same river, which can cause lots of troubles in the logistics of the Russian army there. But most importantly, more and more of the Russian troops leave their positions in Ukraine and return back to Russia, where they actually belong, where they are supposed to be, and where they have lots of work to do, especially in the Kremlin. So let me tell you more about the frontline updates both in Brave Ukraine and Evil Russia from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see more of Ukraine liberated and Russia liberated, subscribe. I'm sure we will discuss lots of important topics on the channel, so share the videos that you like. So according to the reports of the Ukrainian General Staff, our army continues to advance and creates a buffering zone, and honestly, fewer villages in Sumy regions were targeted since the very start of Kursk operation. Most importantly, the Ukrainian military commandment works there, organizing the logistics, the humanitarian help, and also developing the structure of other military commandments which are necessary until we all return to 1991 borders. This Kursk operation demonstrates how unprepared Russia is, how unprofessional their army, and even the analysis of the Institute of War and other respected NATO experts demonstrate that Russia is very chaotic, very unconfident in the steps that it takes in Kursk region and potentially also in Belgorod. From what we know, many of Russian troops, and these may be thousands and thousands of Russian soldiers, were withdrawn from Kharkiv direction and returned back to Kursk region. And I think this is beautiful. Russia is the place where Russian army should be and should stay. If they want to fight, there are lots of things they can fight in Russia, like corruption, like one and the same president for the last 20 years, and I can name many more problems. We will not have enough time on YouTube to discuss all of them. So I do believe that Kursk actions will inspire more and more depoliticized Russians to think, ask questions, double check the information that they receive on TV, because I'm sure that almost for a decade they were persuaded that Ukraine is almost completely defeated, no Ukrainian army exists, and we are a fake state. But it turns out that no. So this fact that Russia has to fight on many different directions makes them weaker and can actually push Putin to start another wave of mobilization. And this idea is super unpopular in Russia because, many people actually accept this authoritarian lifestyle because it guarantees them stability and they don't need to do anything. That's a bad approach to life, but many Russians enjoyed it for decades. And now, being totally depoliticized, being very far away from what is going on in your country, they can be made to go and die in Ukraine. And not many are willing. For these years of the full-scale war, Putin avoided mobilization from the urban areas, but he may need that. And this may lead to serious troubles, chaos, and even a coup, because I don't believe in any serious democratic processes there. Subscribe to see the Kremlin defeated. And hopefully this will happen sometime soon, because the sooner the better. And the better not just for Ukrainians, not just for Poles or other people. It is also very good for Russians. Believe me, I personally think that the military defeat of Russia is the best of all possible solutions for them. And no, this will not directly lead to a nuclear winter or total collapse of everything in Eurasia. Trust me, I have lived through the collapse of the Soviet Union, and it was not that bad. It was not deadly at all. So the fact that now Russia takes away more troops from Ukraine is also a kind of liberation, which is beautiful. They try to back up them in Kursk region, but there are news about the destruction of a bridge across the river Seine. Actually, once I've swam in this river, but not in Russia, in Chernihiv region, because in Chernihiv region, in Baturin, where my grandmother is from, this is a beautiful hetman's capital, a capital of Hetman Mazepa, by the way, another Ukrainian hero very hated in Russia. I'm writing about him in my book. So I was swimming, and this is a very beautiful river with a sandy bottom, but extremely fast. It's really difficult to stand in this river. And there was a bridge across this river in Kursk region, in Glushkovry district, if I'm not mistaken, and it was destroyed. We're not sure who did that, but it may be problematic for the logistics of the Russian army. And lots of Russian military bloggers are afraid that this can actually lead to the surrounding of a large number of the Russian soldiers in a particular area, and that they can be taken under control by the Ukrainian armed forces, and nothing bad will happen for them. We will exchange them for the Ukrainian heroes. I'm sure that these 2.5 years of war have already persuaded you that Ukraine, even after all these crimes committed by Russian army here, remains extremely humane and follows all the rules of war. And by the way, this makes me proud of my country, and this also makes me believe that we have a great future, because this war did not make us haters, did not make us evil. All we are fighting for is security, 1991 borders, and of course, just punishment for the war criminals. Actually, lots of Russian vloggers say that the events in Kursk may be a smoke curtain, if it's the correct idiom, let me know in the comments below, to distract Russian army attention from what may happen in Crimea. Crimea is Ukraine, Crimea is getting back home to Ukraine, so maybe Kerch Bridge will be the next after this bridge across the same river. We will see, but the sooner we return back to the working international laws, the sooner we return back to the borders of 1991, the easier it will be to live on this planet. Let me know, do you think that Kursk operation is a separate operation, or it is just a preparatory part for something bigger? I don't mind. And remember to join me tomorrow for Best Day Live at 9 p.m. Kyiv. Subscribe to my Instagram, X, Threads, and Discord. I share more of everyday life there. Also, we have an active NEFO campaign, and I will leave a link to it below this video. And I'm very grateful to every person who supports the Ukrainian army of Angry Birds. Also, check our merch shop for lots of good new items to celebrate Ukrainian independence, which we will celebrate the next week. And thank you for buying me coffees. Everything seems fine with Buy Me a Coffee for Ukrainians. There are options, and I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful for all the coffees that I get. They definitely give me lots of creative energy. Thank you for becoming patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for speaking, thinking, praying about Ukraine. Thank you for doing all the good things for peace, security, and victory, because peace is only possible after the victory of the democratic powers. That's important. Thank you once again. Slava Ukraini!